What's going on, guys? No Guys here. In today's video we're going to go into tactics and instructions for the 4-2-3-1 second variation. Now you might like the 4-2-3-1 and you might like also the 4-4-2. So what's of course the natural hybrid between the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-4-2? It is the 4-2-3-1. Now why would you want to play this formation? This is a formation if you wanted wide left mids and right mids. It's a bit more defensive than the three cams in the 4-2-3-1 because they're a bit more reserved. And also you might want to use this formation if you prefer to have two strikers or a cam and a striker just in behind. If you want to be defensively more stable, but you do like the width of the 4-4-2. Without further ado, let's go straight into tactics and instructions. So going over the tactics first, there's going to be some similarities and feel free to change things. I'll tell you what you can change. The defensive style we're going to start with is balanced. There's no point using anything else, just simply to the fact is stamina draining is a big issue. If you're going to use this formation for the majority of the game or combine it to defensive formation, you ideally just want to use balance because you see pressure on every touch and press after possession loss. If you're losing, it's fine. You can always change this manually in game when you're losing. But constant pressure and drop back are just too much of an extreme. One's pressing too much and one's sitting too back. Balance just gives you a bit of everything, but more importantly, your team's still pressed. They just press very much in the middle of the pitch, and that's the way the players basically react to your opponent having the ball. Whereas drop back, they just stand still. So balance basically has a bit of pressing, a bit of defensive ability, but they're not basically committing a position or getting themselves out of position, which is the most important thing. For the width, we've gone with 4. Simply because it is pretty a wide formation. Don't forget, if you exclude the two strikers, it's still two banks of 4 and a 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, whichever way you want to look at it. So it's still a wide formation. So you don't want too much gaps in between these areas. You don't want your opponent to be doing ball rolls into these lines. So we've gone with the width of 4. The depth we have gone and we left this on 5. Feel free to reduce this. If you want to have a more defensive formation, want to close the game out, I would suggest more of 3. If you're comfortable with attacking, you like to be a bit more forward, I would recommend 5. So depending on how you want to play, I would say change it up. So 3 for a more defensive option and 5 for, let's say, you're more comfortable and you want to be more attacking. Now for defensive style, it's probably one of the few formations you'll see me not suggest long ball. You can use long ball if you want to, but because we have left mids and right mids now, the key thing is with a 4-2-3-1, the instructions for these guys, you actually have kind of get wide and, well, not get wide, you have the usual, but we have you've actually stay wide, chance creation, stay wide, free roam, cut inside. Now, if you change, for example, to the other formation, the 4-2-3-1, you can see you don't have the options with a central cam, should I say. So the benefit is you can actually have getting behind on the wide players. So you don't actually need long ball, but if you want to, because you want your cam and your striker to run in behind, feel free to do so. But I'd recommend leaving it unbalanced. For defensive width, you can go on 5 or 4. I personally recommend 4 because I want my attack to be just a bit more tighter together. So when you are playing the 4-2-3-1 second variation, I don't want these guys to be too far away. I want to be able to pass the ball to them, distribute the ball around. My opponent is parking the bus. I want an exit strategy to come back and recycle to play with my CDM. So I prefer 4, but feel free to change this to 5 if you do prefer just a wider player. Because some people prefer the left mid and right mid to be really wide, and by left on 4. And players in the box leave us on 6. Keep it simple. We're going to alter which players get into the box anyway. The corners and free kicks, as usual, I always leave this on 1, but feel free to change if you want to. I would say just experiment with long ball. You can maybe try possession, but I would just say balance probably the best to go because it gives you a bit of everything going forward. Players coming close, and of course you're not building up too quickly. Now going over to the instructions, so the central strike, we've got him on stay central. Attacking runs, we have him on getting behind and stay forward. So this is going to be your most attacking striker. He's always going to be staying forward. Your most clinical player will be in this position. Then let's say, for example, your cam. Now your cam, I'd recommend someone ideally who's got a high-low or high-medium work rates, or even high-high. But if you are going to have a high-high or you haven't got a high-low or high-medium, I'd recommend stay forward. So the idea is the top guy, your main marksman player, stay central, stay forward, get it behind. The guy behind him, I would say also a second striker. I wouldn't suggest someone like De Bruyne here or someone like Bruno Fernandes. Yes, you can argue they are good players, but you want your cam to be like a second striker, almost like a Bergkamp type centre forward type player. So I would say a second striker. Think of this as you would as in a 4-4-1-1 with a centre forward or like a 2-striker formation. So I have 2 strikers here. So that way, if you get the ball with your cam, you can do a 1-2 and make a run in behind. He can shoot as well. So make sure you have 2 fast players that are very agile and that can play two players like Ben Yedder, maybe someone like, I don't know, Bambo, Nedved, someone else over here that's very, very clinical. We have get into the box for a cross. Do not leave this on free roam because this guy will disappear out of nowhere and you have a big hole in your defense, and that kind of defeats the purpose of using the 4-4-1-1. If you're going to do that, you must use the 4-4-2 in my opinion, to leave that unbalanced, okay? Then for one CDM, you want stay back while attacking, cut passing lanes, cover center, and conservative intercept, just for one CDM. So whichever is your most defensive CDM, the guy you want to sit back, you put that in. In this situation, in this formation, I'm going to put Cuadrado as a CDM. I'm going to move Cuadrado around. Whichever way you want to put it around is completely fine. And I'll explain this in a second as well. So yeah, so the most offensive player there, cut passing, stay back, attacking, conservative, and cover center. The one that's, I would say, attacking. Now you have two options. You can do the exact same thing, literally the exact same thing without conservative interceptions. But I'd recommend leaving this guy unbalanced. Ideally, you want someone here who's high work rates, high or high medium, as in attacking high work rates. Something like that is very, very good in this role. Someone like Bruno Fernandes, even someone like KDB can work perfectly in this role because they can go forward naturally. If someone's got a low attacking work rate here, when you do get this hit, someone's low high. I can't think of someone that's really low high. I think Ibra, I think, is low medium. But even like no, actually, I don't even know. But if you find someone that's low high, I can't think of an attacking player here that's low high, to be honest. He won't go forward naturally. So that is where the long ball tactic may come into play. So depending if you have an attacking player here or not, I would say you might need the long ball tactic, but that's completely fine. So your most attacking player, you can leave some balanced. If you prefer to be more stable defensively, or you want to close the game out, you stay back. For the left mid and right mids, this is where you have, I suppose you can say, complete control for yourself. I would recommend come back on defense because you still want them to come back regardless. You do want them to get inside to the box for a cross. Again, that kind of negates this players in the box. That's why I said it's not really that important. So you want them to ideally get into a box. So when you get into a cross-up situation, Nedved, opposite player, will come in for the driven cross or driven through ball across the box. Then you have support runs. I would suggest getting behind. I wouldn't suggest target man or come short. I would just say either use balanced or get it behind. I would recommend getting behind if you're not using long ball. If you are using long ball, you can use balanced, but I would recommend getting behind for both. And that's what you want to do. The one where you have, I suppose you can say, and don't worry about inceptions being conservative because they're not wing backs, they're not running up and down the pitch. So it's not that important for the stamina, conserving stamina. But for the chance creation, you have a choice. I think cut inside doesn't really work as well as it used to. Like if you think about FIFA 18, 4-1-2-1-2 wide variation days, it was very, very effective. This year, not so, or since FIFA 19, not so much. I would recommend balance or stay wide. Stay wide is beneficial if you want these guys to be really, really wide in the entire game. And you want your strikers to be kind of, not isolated, but centrally. So what will happen is like these guys will be so wide, so your opponent's left back and right backs will be matched up against your left mid and right mid, and then you'll have this zone in the middle to kind of maneuver the ball around with these four players. So it's up to you. I would recommend in the beginning, just leave these on balance first and then try them on stay wide. See which one you prefer and then change it. So you have two options here, either stay wide or balanced. If you are a more advanced level, like an elite tier plus, I would experiment just using balance and using hug the sidelines to manually in-game the D-pad tactics to make your team wider. So you can also do that as well if you understand how hug the sidelines do work. Don't forget to check my other videos for instructions on how that does work. And for the left back right back, we've gone the usual stay back while attacking, conservative, and overlap. So this means that these players are going to be staying back all the time. They're not going to be basically going forward. And run type overlap just means that if and only if you do a 1-2, they'll run on the outside, because you don't want your right back to be running on the inside, and that means you're pushing your winger to the outside. You don't want that. Why would you want your most attacking player on the wing? You want him centrally, and like that's how you do in real life. So that's the benefit of having overlap. So just in case you do, they're not going to go forward because they're on stay back, but if you do make a 1-2, at least they'll overlap. And they're conservative just so you don't get done in the counter attack, because we know counter attacks are a big thing. The rest we have some balance. Goalkeeper, don't even touch it, just leave it on balance. So this is the thing, you're going to have your striker and your cam, both of them on stay forward. So it's going to be like a 4-4-1-1 when you're attacking. So think of this like a more attacking 4-2-3-1 second variation, but you've got the wide players as well. The problem is with a 4-2-3-1 narrow, once you're in the final third, sometimes you can argue it's a similar type formation, but you haven't got the left mids and right mids. They're not positioned the same way. Sometimes you want the left mids, right mids distribute the ball away. this is a formation for you. Also, defense stability. This formation is more defensively stable than the 4-2-3-1 with the cams. Now, why? It's because the cams are a bit more forward. That means when you go forward, the attack in a 4-striker formation. So when you come back, not only are you coming more susceptible to a counter attack, but also when they go back, they don't really go back all the way. With the 4-2-3-1 second variation, these guys, they come back all the way, and if you want to, you can of course put your 2 strikers on come back and defense as well, and you defend it basically. It's almost like a park the bus system, which I won't suggest, but you do defend like in a 4-4-1-1 system, and of course you have your 2 CDMs. That's the most important thing. You can change if you want to. For example, there's other variations like the 4-4-1-1. You may have seen the 4-4-1-1, and you may have also seen the 4-4-1-1 second variation. Well, the issue with this is one's a cam and one's a centre forward. That's all fine and dandy, but there's no CDM. So for defense stability, you ideally want 2 CDMs. But anyway, guys, that is the 4-2-1-2-3-1 second variation. I'm actually going to be replacing this as my ultra defensive formation, so you'll see that tactics video tomorrow, just because it's a bit more conservative, and people have got loads of good players now just spamming out through balls down the wing, so it's a bit more conservative option. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.